Just trying to make sure everything is like. And what's up, you guys? Welcome to my live stream. Now I know. Now I know. The last time I did this, I was running out of battery, so I think I saved this phone charged enough for me to get this live stream going. And one of the main reasons why I'm doing this live stream because David Finch, he inspired me to create my own version of Thursday nights. Because remember when I told y'all that I had school? Well, even though I still got school, so it's kind of hard for me to just adjust to. Sorry, that's my parents in the background. Kind of adjust me to live stream things on time if I had a chance, but education comes first before I decide to just. So how was y'all's day? Would love to hear from you guys. You know, this whole PS5 thing, everybody is excited, since it's out today. The Xbox Series X came out yesterday, and I've seen some mixed reviews on it saying how it looks like a mini fridge, and it still does. And I still go by what I said, but I'm not gonna take by what I said. It still looks ugly, you know. I mean, back then when Microsoft, when they first came out with their first Xbox, it looks like a game console, not a mini fridge or a book. Well, technically, it's funny because I never really like using inks as far as like my graph pens goes, because you gotta really know how to use it. Because as an artist, that's what you gotta be doing when you want to trace over the lines. I'm just doing this like the David Finch's way, you know, trying to make it look more professional. Because his works is more mature. Mine's just like, epic and fiery. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you guys get the point. And it's funny because the Dino Fury helmets, I'm not really a fan of them because I just feel like they were too busy. It kind of reminded me of Kamen Rider a little bit. Just the way that is laid out. So what am I doing complaining? Like, I'm supposed to be excited for the season. I am, but I think the helmets I'm gonna be studying a lot more just to make sure I get the hang of, the materials and all that. and their Zords are really awesome to look at, and you can tell they put a whole lot of effort into it. And that Fan First Friday stream from Hasbro Pulse, I didn't really like it because the monsters, King Sphinx, and the Pumpkin Rapper, they look real funny with the lack of paint jobs. And I think the Pumpkin Rapper makes a lot of sense because in the Sentai footage, he didn't really have any blacking inside his eyes. So I think they did some justice on that. But everything else was pretty spot on. As you guys can see, the way I'm doing the lines, I'm trying to make sure I go one stroke at a time instead of just like going all the way in. Because if I do, the line is gonna look funny. Because if I don't follow the line, excuse me, it's gonna look unrecognizable. That's just how I see to believe it. But because as a comic artist, you gotta make sure you follow the lines whenever you finish rough sketching and all that. And I think the last time I did the my first episode of Thursday Night Draw, not many people came by and see me, but I try my best to make sure I get as much views as I can. But and here I am chasing clout on YouTube already. That's a no-no. But at least I'm doing it for you guys. I was watching this YouTuber named Dr. Rocky, or whatever his name, so however you say it. He's a good artist, and he did a video on redrawing Dax HC's characters that he created, and it looks really, really nice. The lines so good, the details is just all the way there, and you can tell that he knows his stuff. And then he mentioned something about ZHC's not doing comic art anymore, and he just customizing stuff. And I was watching an interview. Well, I kind of did a reaction during the summer of this year when James, the box office artist, interviewed ZHC about why he didn't really want to do comic art anymore. It's because the way that the comic book industry it is nowadays, and I can understand in certain degrees, but if he could just somehow ignore all that, I think he would have had so much fans of all over the world doing comic art, at least with artists like myself, Dr. Rocky, and David Finch are still here for you guys because I know comic art is still the most popular thing on YouTube right now, and not many artists do comics, but I'm here for you guys. So, and you want to know what's crazy about this? I was gonna use some alcohol base markers for this Blue Ranger, but I decided to just go ink comic book style, and that's what I went for, and that's what I went by basically. Listen, if you guys are welcome, if you guys are just tuning into my live stream, you're welcome by to just chat and we can just talk about whatever. I heard, I'm hearing rumors about, Miles Morales plus beginning his a live action TV show. And my guess is since the guy who voices Miles Morales in the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, I think the actor who voiced the character is gonna be playing the character as well, which I would love for that to happen. But I checked out his Instagram and he turns out to be a rapper who got bars, so it's nothing wrong with a Marvel hero rapping. So I've seen the way David Finch, whenever he does something like this, he draws a thing, he skips over a line, then he draws again, because he wants to make sure he has the right angles of drawing these characters. Hey, Brendan, nice of you to stop by. Well, he has been making videos. I just haven't reacted to his videos in a while, and I'm starting to notice that some weird things about it. Like whenever I react to his videos, I get claimed, and I don't make money off of that, which is stupid to say the least. And I know it's not ZHC's video. I think somebody is probably stopping me from having me react to his videos because I love his content. You know, that's one of my favorite YouTubers. It's just something stupid about it. I don't know what's going on. But I'll always support his content, but I just don't react to it anymore, like I used to. And like I said, it's a whole lot going on in the world of YouTube. Thanks a lot, Susan. And now that you think about it, I feel like she is the reason why YouTube is not what it used to be because back then it used to be free. You could just do whatever you want, you know, react to whatever you want, say whatever you want. But nowadays, if you swear on your channel, you're gonna end up getting demonetized, and your channel's gonna end up getting flagged, or your video's gonna get flagged if you say one curse word. I thought it was called freedom of speech, not punishing people for having an opinion. Well, I guess that's how the world is nowadays. Sometimes you can't win everything. And the reason why I'm doing this in David Fincher's style because, like I said, this guy, the guy is the goat. You know what I'm saying? He's the reason why I became a better artist. Him, ZHC, and as well as other comic book artists that really influenced me on YouTube that became my favorites. And James, the box office artist, actually did a video on just reacting to some art in general. And you got some Marvel studio director artist. I forgot his name, but he's pretty cool. You know, and now that you think about it, you know, this whole Amber Heard situation, I feel like it needs to be stopped. She needs to be stopped for one thing, because sometimes in life you have to realize that you cannot reward bad behavior. You don't reward bad behavior, period. That's just where I come from. If you know you did wrong, you need to take accountability for your actions. Well, it just seems like not people always agree to that because they'll always play the victim role and all that. And that's kind of sad how it is nowadays with, females. But I'm not even going to get into all that details right now. Just want to focus on this art and talk about art related stuff instead of out topics. So, my fault. I mean, we could talk about video games if you want. So, yeah, I saw a little bit of AEW, and it was a decent show. But my favorite part was Brainy Rose coming out acting all hood, the ratchet coming out of her. That came out of left field. And when Cody Rhodes, when Cody Rhodes came out, was cutting the promo, and this bra, what I'm saying, she fine too. She's perfect on the right places, acting like a thought on the show, and she black by the way. So I mean, you gotta expect that, right? Yeah. Then she coming out saying he's here, he's this and that. He's talking about Shaq. I'm thinking, what you talking about, Shaquille O'Neal? No, Shaquille O'Neal can't wrestle. He a basketball player and a TV personality. I don't know. Look, I don't know what Shaq does nowadays though, but him wrestling, I don't know. But he did appear in the WWE, but he didn't really do that much. I guess they wanted to go soft on him because he's a celebrity. Like, bruh, even celebrities sometimes need to take a bump or two. Like, don't go soft on it just because they're rich people. Yep, everything is slowly coming together, y'all. Just gotta keep at it. Yeah, like I said, it's the way that David Finch draws. And it's really cool the fact that he's used the way that he uses the techniques. It's just it's so it's so inspiring. I don't know if she played in the movies though, but let's not talk about her anymore. Let's talk about something else, shall we? Oh yeah, you know the Bella twins, the no talent Bella twins supposed to be returning. Like I don't know, man. It's just dumb, like ridiculous. Putting out stupid stories about how John Cena sp- tries well tries to reach out to Nikki Bella. I can care less about those people at all because they got no talents. They're the reason why the company's sucking in first place. So yeah, the other day I was watching Undertaker videos on YouTube, part of the 30 Days of Undertaker, marathon, as they call it, until he made make his return to the what am I talking about? I'm talking fast stuff. What I'm trying to say is that until he returned to Survivor Series this year, because that's when the day that he debuted 30 years ago, and so the history of Tombstone, history of the Undertaker. He was, you know, I like the DVD, but what I really hate about it is how they cut out some stuff, certain stuff. Like when they showed a match between Mankind and Undertaker in the Buried Alive match. At In Your House. I feel like they cut out some stuff that they shouldn't done, but it is what it is. So I've been thinking about this a long hard though. Like, should I even turn? Well, actually, I already had this before, but I'm not gonna do that. I just continue. I'll just continue to do art on here. Like I said, I want some new people on this stream. If you're welcome by, just come holler at me. Everybody has been talking about this old Hasbro Power Rangers cinematic universe. I feel like they're trying to be like the MCU, but I don't think it's gonna work. They could just start fresh, see how it goes. If it works, then they'll probably make it. If not, then they'll just stop making Power Rangers movie altogether. If they want to keep on messing things up, like they've done with the 2017 movie with their so-called politics. So I don't know. I should have to keep bringing that up, but it happened. But it is what it is. So I'm not going to mention it anymore. Do you guys think I should get the Spider-Man PS5 or PS5 for that matter, just for that game? Cause I don't know, man. The way that the system's going on right now, I'm hearing somebody said that it died and they're experiencing problems already. But look, I don't know. I'm thinking I might get it myself. Maybe for my birthday or just you know not get it. Cause the Spider-Man Miles Morales game is on the PS4 now, so at least I'm good for that though. Cause the PS4 looks the same as the PS5. I don't care nothing about no choice awards. I got bigger stuff to worry about. Try to make sure I get everything drawn up before I go ham on it like I always do. Who's excited for this season of Dino Fury? Any new subscribers here? Man, you know sometimes when it's raining outside, you feel like you're in a good mood, but you try to stay positive if you can. But at some point, you got to realize that raining days can cause you to go mentally insane. You know what they say, never skip leg day, right? Because you know I like my characters to be muscular, so nothing sus about it, but I don't know why I said it. I think I just keep my mouth shut. And I always want to make sure my anatomy is on point because his poses is coming from the light source from the right. I mean from the left. Jeez. like you see how I got my anatomies in? Like I'm just starting to get better at this in time. So I always wanted to make sure that my anatomy is on point because you don't want to make it look like something that's not different. It kind of is, in my opinion. Well, if not, then we could just move on. Cause I normally, whenever I do these live streams, I normally play music, but trust me, the last thing I would want to do is play music because every time I do that, I get claimed like crazy and I don't make money off of that. So I think I'm just play low and just watch and draw and just be quiet. That sounds dumb, but I'm trying to be cautious, you know what I'm saying?
superstar's career, you know, 15 years. I thought of a rise of Eddie video spanning from the beginning of his career all the way up to the way 2004, but I'll save that for another time. I just knew for a fact that I was trying to rush it, so that's why I went with this storyline instead. I mean, I was gonna do it real soon anyways, but I just decided, let's do it right now. With that said, 2000, in terms of fan engagement, I just want to take the cake. It's like it was easy to get over from Billy Gunn to The Rock. Most of The Rock's was getting pops, boos, reaction basically. The whole crowd turned that decent show to an awesome move just like that. For example, that 8-man tag. Was the best match since the action? Doubt, but the crowd, the taunts, the movement, the stories intertwining. There's a reason for why that match is one of my favorites ever. Anyways, that's 2003. I will dive into the year review eventually, but for now, it's Eddie and China. Now, initially, the ninth wonder of the world tried resisting Latino beats, calling them disgusting and other stuff, but it was all the ploy. She just couldn't resist them. The whole story showed off Eddie Guerrero's character award. Just came in from WCW right off the bat to the major storyline. The WWF actually took advantage of talent back then. That's not the point. How did these two become a couple? That's what you want to know. How did they become a pair? Right now, it's good. Eddie was a part of the Radicals in early 2000s. China was actually one of the biggest stars in the company, believe it or not, or she was starting to become one of the biggest stars. And Latino had just returned from an arm injury right out of the gate. He teamed up with the Radicals to face Too Cool and China at WrestleMania 2000. For this time period, Eddie kind of had a thing for China, but it wasn't really that much of a big deal, I guess. Before the match, Dean and Theory thought Eddie wasn't exactly focused on it, and as for how that went, despite looking some cheap shots, Latino he got his ass beat by the very same woman he was fixated on. The next night on Raw, though, things took a huge turn. Okay, Chris Jericho was scheduled to defend his newly won European Championship in a match against Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, right? Since Jericho and China were still friends of sorts, she was there to watch the match. Beforehand, Eddie called China his mamacita, claimed she wanted some of Latino Heat. And he also dedicated the match to her aunt. Anyways, during the bout, the ref got knocked down and Jericho had the match won. China then decided to raise Y2J's arm toward DDTing him, and Eddie went for the cover. The ref woke up and Latino Heat was champion. He finally made his Spanish ancestors proud. They embraced and drove the hell out of there in a lowrider, I might add. So now Eddie, he's got the girl that he's wanted. She just couldn't resist him, and now it's her hair. The two addressed the events of Monday on their SmackDown, but they obviously had to enter the arena in style. Eddie Guerrero received a beta version of his Latino Heat song, you know. He's acting all romantic with his friend, not his queen. Eddie wanted an explanation from China at her statement. These are her words. I couldn't resist your Latino. He kissed her boobs, latched onto her. And another reason why China betrayed Chris was because he was always intimidated by herself. He was always afraid that she'd get all the attention. Guerrero said that the fans can't understand that his ancestors were very proud of him, and it was then where Y2J interrupted. He ran in there and whooped their asses. Mamacita didn't really put in an effort to help Latino needs, and they eventually ran out of there. So slowly but surely, Eddie and China were getting the crowd's attention. China was the one who wore the pants the relationship, it seemed. The first few Latino he had was against S.A. Rios. After Lita was screwing up their matches by accident, China left Lita alone with the Dudleys, and S.A. Rios got himself a title match at Backlash. At the same time, Guerrero was studying for his GED test. Once he passed, he celebrated prom with his mamacita, and at Backlash, he defended the gold, right? Well, during Backlash, Eddie was celebrating prom. He didn't realize he had a match, and once he arrived to the arena, the bell was about to ring, and he was about to forfeit his title. Luckily, he made it in time and wrestled in his prom outfit, and he did enjoy himself after the match when Lita undressed China, though. By the way, Eddie retained the title. From here on, China and Guerrero's relationship continued to grow. First of all, they began teaming up in these tags. The duo were really coming into their own. And second, the Radicals didn't really associate themselves with Eddie as much as they did in the past. Even Perry had some issues with each other, and so Eddie and China tried to help. Unfortunately for them, Saturn and Malenko blasted them. This continued later that week on SmackDown, when China challenged Malenko for the Light Heavyweight Championship. During the match, Saturn interfered, attacked Eddie and went after China instead of Dean. Later that night, Eddie defended his title against Saturn, and Mamacita scored the assist with a lead pipe. So basically, China was responsible for the Radicals splitting. Those other two guys had issues, and Latino, he wasn't there to help and put a stop to any issues that arose. And this led to a triple threat match for the European Championship at Judgment Day. The match itself went Eddie's way. It was focused on other things. It was lying and shooting and stealing his way to victory with Mamacita's help throughout the June of 2000, and both individuals then found themselves in a tricky situation. On the June 19, 2000 episode of Raw's War, Eddie Guerrero was scheduled to face his girl China in the King of the Ring tournament match. Latino, he didn't really take her seriously initially. She had to slap some sense into him, and he finally went to work. The problem with this was the fact that he got a little serious at one moment, and China told him to calm down. He was complaining about this, you want me to get serious or not? But he was easily manipulated. Once he noticed the games, China's playing, he caught her off guard with an inside cradle to advance in the tournament, but at what cost? By SmackDown, though, they Soon the Radicals once again feuded with Eddie and China. This time around, Chris Benoit decided to attack the ninth wonder of the world and lock her in the crossface. Benoit never really got his on SmackDown that week, and as a matter of fact, he did it again. They got their chance to face him in a handicap match but were unsuccessful after Benoit got himself disqualified by keeping the crossface on despite Eddie reaching for the ropes. Rather, Wolverine was the only one from the Radicals that had a score to settle with Eddie and China. On the July 17th episode of Raw War, Dean Malenko challenged Jacqueline and Ivory to a light heavyweight championship match. Instead, China appeared and asked for the match herself. And during the match, Perry Saturn interfered and slammed Latino feet right onto the ramp. So Saturn and Dean were back on the same page. They already had some issues beforehand, but now they're all solved. Later that week, both men challenged Eddie for the title, so it was a Radicals triple threat rematch from Judgment Day. Malenko ran late to the ladies and Eddie match to retain once more, but after the match, Terry Runnels and Perry Saturn provoked Eddie and China. Real sacrificed himself at one point to protect China. As you can see here, he was protected. Soon afterwards, the match was made for fully loaded. Eddie Guerrero versus Perry Saturn for the European title. China had issues with Perry also, so they were looking to settle the issues right then and there. Unfortunately for the happy couple, things didn't go their way at all. Terry got the best of China, and Perry got the best of Eddie. Despite the title loss, China and Eddie looked to bounce back by focusing on the Intercontinental title. The title was on Val Venus, and what this also meant was that China had an issue with another woman once more. It was Trish Stratus. She used to accompany Val Venus during this time period. She had a big mouth, basically, so China, she wanted to do something about it. In Eddie's first title match, Trish whacked China with a glass pitcher, and in the ring, Val Venus saw the victory with a roll-up. Also, Val Venus had that SmackDown 2 music. Afterwards, China demanded Commissioner Foley book a match with Trish and herself. Foley didn't meet her demand exactly, but the match he booked was satisfying enough in the ninth wonder of the world's eyes. What was that match? It was a mixed tag match for SummerSlam. Eddie, China versus Trish in that. Trish almost got her comeuppance later that week on Raw, but Venus preventing anything harmful happening to Stratus. This got China telling her that she wanted the match for later that night, but Foley quickly silenced those complaints by making the mixed tag an Intercontinental Championship match, meaning whoever pins the opponent wins the title. It's simple. Before the match, Eddie claimed he was a jealous type, and meanwhile Trish was asking Val, like, who do you prefer to see centerfold? It was clear who was focused on the match at hand. The fans were thoroughly interested in a tag team match. They loved seeing China kick Trish's butt. She dominated the team near the end there, and so she became the new Intercontinental Champion. Val was seething, but there was nothing he could do but watch. The victory made China a two-time Intercontinental Champion. Following this, she was kind of dragged into the Triple H session. After Hunter thanked China for helping and giving advice, Eddie took notice and lost his composure. Then Kurt Angle poured fuel to the fire. He reminded Latino Heat of his Mamacita's past relationships with Triple H. He suggested Eddie go and challenge the game to a fight. Latino Heat did just that, and the match was made for later that night. Eddie Guerrero then demanded China stay away from ringside as it was man to man. He went out there and brought the fight. He unleashed ruthless aggression, but the game, though, wasn't one to take a beating. During the match, Angle ran down there and blocked Triple H with a chair before showing what kind of man he was by blasting Eddie also. China ran in there and was unsure of who to tend to first, and so Angle had a big smile on his face. On SmackDown later that week, he continued to make matters worse. He showed Stephanie and some footage of Raw got into her head. He's trying to make it seem like China's back with Triple H, and she was getting angry at all these statements. So China came out and tried to do something about it. Stephanie definitely believed Angle, and he caught China off guard with a unique-looking Angle slam. Eddie ran in there and blasted Kurt, but his plan wasn't working. I mean, Stephanie was walking away with it. Commissioner Foley, as a result of this, booked Eddie in a match with Kurt. That match went south for Angle and Stephanie. Kurt got his ass whooped, and Stephanie, she had some mean words for China that ended up laying her out. Due to the ongoing issues between both parties, Commissioner Foley booked an Intercontinental Championship match for Raw. Kurt Angle versus China. Guerrero had an issue with this, and he wanted to protect his Mamacita. So, Foley decided to add Latino heat to the match. No, neither China nor Angle had an idea of this, so it came off as a shocker. During the match, Latino Heat wanted to ring in a chair, but the ref threatened to disqualify. So Angle took advantage and used the IC title to blast China. Once Guerrero took notice, he dropped kicked Angle and threw him out of there. It was at this moment where he had two choices: continue to deal with Kurt Angle or tend to his girlfriend. Since Eddie was a loyal, caring, loving boyfriend, he tried to aid his girl. What he didn't realize, though, was that
Yeah, I know. We gotta start changing, you know, how I'm gonna be live streaming. Like, make sure everybody gets here first before I
afterwards the former champion was in tears, but Eddie
get this
assured
live stream going, you know.
much more to him than the title. In the end, he told him that he deserved it anyway. And would you look at that? He sweet talked his way into fixing everything. Later that week, China wanted an explanation, and unlike everybody else on the roster, she actually watched footage from Raw and noticed that smile. Eddie laughed it off, claiming it's because he was forgiven, and she thought Guerrero used her to get to the top. He then made her seem like the villain. Oh, I have my personal needs, but I put them aside in order to make this work, yada yada. And his temper got the best of him once again, complaining about the leg appearances like Jay Leno. You made 3 appearances, I have 0. He was complaining about not being featured in one page of China's magazine, and Eddie was basically, in general, upset over the lack of opportunities and the fact that China doesn't really have to sacrifice much like himself. He then gave her the choice of either sticking behind him, get all the attention, she's behind him, she's second fiddle, or she can leave. So she spoke to the Road Dogg about this. Once he took notice, he got angry. Jesse James tried to assure him that they were friends for very long, but he wasn't having it. China, on the other hand, she seemed to get what Eddie's saying and tried to do as he said. So China basically cost Road Dogg his title match against Latino. Afterwards, he was trying to apologize, but Guerrero added insult to injury by blasting him with the title. Later that week on Raw, Eddie did realize the error of his ways and tried apologizing, but it took a while for China to accept it. He was talking about how the title got between them and how he wished he had never seen that side of his, so all was given. Hell, Eddie even claimed that win or lose, they'll dance was too cool. It ended up being a lie. Rikishi then ran in there to save his friends, but China, putting relationship over morality, protected her boyfriend once again. She didn't want to do it, she was sick of it, but it was necessary. She needed to save her man. Later that night, things got even worse. Eddie was praising his girl's body and was like, you should be in pictures. She admitted that her picture was going to be on Playboy. He thought it was an interview, but once he realized that she couldn't, Eddie got worried. He thought about his friends, his family. He thought that she was going to embarrass him. He even promised to storm the place to prevent anything from going on. And this brought another chapter to the story. On September 14th, 2000 episode of SmackDown, Eddie tried to pay a visit to Hugh Hefner. The security guards made fun of him, disrespected him, and wanted him thrown out. This reduced Eddie to tears as he's like, oh, my girl, you're going to be on the cover. He obviously tried to make an attempt to run in the house, but was unsuccessful. After witnessing her boyfriend try to prevent the pictures from getting released, China stormed out. But on Raw, she made it seem like all was forgotten. Eddie was seeking forgiveness, begging and pleading, and the stance on label cover took a 180 turn. Guerrero was actually supportive and ahead of his match with Rikishi. He felt sick. Now, let me remind you something. Eddie was set to defend the title against Rikishi, so that's why he felt sick. Since there was no chance of Latino Heat competing, China took his place. Right when the match was about to begin, Eddie dragged himself to the ring in order to support his girl. Rikishi saw right through this and whooped his ass. Sick, ill Eddie then came to the protection of his girlfriend, who tried protecting him in the first place by spraying Rikishi with mace. That wasn't even it though. Rikishi eventually bounced back and hit a smaller drop on China for asking her boy to come into the ring. Coming to the ring, you're also a herder or something like that. Since Eddie was a coward, he was too scared to enter the ring, Rikishi hit the bonsai drop on her. The relationship was slowly deteriorating, and it was clear that the IC title was way more important to Eddie than China. She was sick of everything related to Eddie, and it seemed like things were over. But a couple of minutes later, Guerrero once again came out to apologize to the ninth wonder of the world. He claimed China was more important to him than life itself, so then he asked, if you have or ever had love for me, then please just come out here. She took the roses and best her former love with them. Had this been a month ago, it probably would have been enough to woo her, But it was different now. And he was shouting how he's done everything out of love. Then he talks about the Playboy cover and how she's got to see things from his perspective. What does he mean? Well, Eddie thought he was forced to share the only thing that belongs to him with the rest of the world now. Eddie knew that he was wrong, but still wanted to be her best supporter. So he showed the cover on the Ovaltron. And everything was back to normal. Rikishi though interrupted, and he thought Eddie was a lying snake. He reminded China that he gave her boy a chance to make a save, but he didn't, and that basically proves that Guerrero isn't good enough for China. He also let her know something else. Apparently, Rikishi had a friend that works at Playboy in Chicago. He works in security, and he showed some footage. In the footage, Eddie's whining about how she's going to show it all, and even asked the guards if they had any sense of jealousy, It was your girl, weren't you jealous? China was heartbroken, and Eddie was completely embarrassed. The footage was on Monday, I might add. That was when Eddie was acting all supportive. China said that her heart couldn't take this anymore, and Eddie said that if she leaves, he'll die. He said he couldn't picture a world without her at all, and hell, since words weren't enough, he proposed. The fans loudly chanted, just say no, but she said yes enough, and boom. Once again, following this, Eddie showed that the title was much more important to him. Instead of coming to his fiance's aid, he decided to grab his title first. And as you may know, September 25th was the release date of China's Playboy cover. Right to Censor tried to crash the celebration and criticize the magazine, and China came out and praised her as best as
Takeda Pharmaceuticals. Integrity, fairness, honesty, and perseverance. Better health, brighter future.
best as he can. Hell, Eddie even offered to defend the title if his future wife allows him to. She did, and Val Venus took up the challenge. Mamacita ended up providing help, and so Latino Heat remained champion. The rights to censor continued to do something about the magazines, and they're gaining heat by the minute. Eddie and China continued to battle the right to censor until one fateful night. Once again, on this night, Eddie and China got into an argument. Why? This was because the champion, he was late. He claimed that he was busy or something like that. And China, she didn't really trust Eddie all that much. He got angry over this and stormed off. Things got worse though a couple of minutes later. So the engaged couple were facing the right to censor, right? But during the match, footage on the Titantron showed some people having fun in the shower. Once the shower curtain opened, it was Eddie. And, it wasn't China either. Hell, it wasn't even one word. The crowd went crazy and China was dead. That's it. She had enough. It was like, screw this, I'm out of here. The fans were going crazy at this revelation. And after the match, by the way, they beat Eddie, they decided to attack China when Mr. S made his long-awaited return. The crowd was absolutely happy to see Billy come back, that's one thing for sure. He kicked their asses, kicked them out of the ring, and he comforted his old friend. As for Eddie, he tried to explain things, but it wasn't working at all. She had enough and threw away the engagement ring. The fans cheered and she drove away. Billy Gunn, on the other hand, he had some stern words for the TNT afterwards, and he thought it was stupid of Eddie to throw this entire thing away just for 2 hoes. He even promised to never let Eddie back into China's life, and as he was walking away, Guerrero's temper got the best of him and smashed a bottle into Billy's head. The story itself transitioned to a Billy and Eddie case. The two were set to face off in a match at No Mercy, but that wasn't to be. Beforehand, Eddie came onto the ring and he claimed China's crying about him. She was the one who wants him back, and he was the one that rejected her. Hell, he even called Billy and China lovers. China obviously responded to these statements, but she preferred to let her actions speak louder than words, and so she slapped Latino. Now, the reason why the match at No Mercy was canceled was due to Eddie's leg injury. So Billy Gunn teamed up with China to face the RTC. During the bout, Eddie interfered and caused China a match, so that led to a match between Eddie and China for the Intercontinental Championship. This time around, he stuck it to the ninth corner of the world by bringing out the cat in his ex-fiance's attire. She got her comeuppance, but Steven Richards once again cost China a match. At the same time, the Radicals reunited, and so Eddie had some backup. Mr. S became the one, Billy Gunn, and this led to a Survivor Series elimination match between the Radicals and the former members of BFTO, Billy Gunn, China, Road Dogg, and K-Quick as Survivor Series. The Radicals cheated to win, but that wasn't it. Billy Gunn had one more match against Eddie Guerrero for the Intercontinental Championship and beat. Fans were going crazy at the title change and were cheering. It was pure ecstasy in the arena on that night. So that's the China and Eddie story. Now, did they have another match? Yes, at Rebellion, but that wasn't really much, and I consider the finale of her feud to be Survivor Series. Yeah, overall the story was awesome, it was entertaining, it was tremendous, that's what I'm going to say. Eddie, he had his doubts about the storyline, but made it work. Showed everyone that he can make something out of this. And that's what he did, he was successful. China, on the other hand, she became a bigger star through the storyline. By the end of 2000, she was like at the very top. It was actually a very big star in the company, so there's that. Will I dive into the other storylines that happened during this time period? Yes, right to censor, the one Billy Gunn. Yeah, I'll do a lot of stuff there. What do you guys think of this storyline? Please comment down below. That's the first thing. Make sure you hit a frog splash on the like button, perhaps a press slam on the subscribe button. Easy, I got it.
Man, look at this bullshit right here, man. I've been trying all day to get a hold of this freaking PS5, even though technically I don't have the money for it right now. I'm about $100 short now, because I had to make a payment on the fucking cable bill. But let me just show you guys this, because I've been trying to do this all fucking day, and this just goes to show you how fucked this whole ordering system is. You know how fucked people who don't have a PS5 who can't get pre-orders are. Let's just try this again. So throughout the day, and of course today is November 12th, the release day, the official launch date for the PS5, right? I don't know why it's not getting clear. For some reason, it's not getting clear. All right. So first off, Walmart has been offering that they will sell, or they are going to give out the PS5 on today on the launch day on specific intervals: 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. It's now 9:03. I don't know if you can see it there because I don't know, for whatever reason it looks real fuzzy. The letters look really fuzzy on this camera. I don't know why. But I've been trying to get a hold of the shit all day. Like, just trying to act like I'm placing the order. And the shit won't go through. Like, even now, the shit is slow as fuck. And it's not my internet. Because my internet is fucking... My internet connection is real fucking strong. So, it's gotta be this glitched-ass fucking... This glitched-ass fucking Walmart thing or whatever. So, I can't even freaking get a hold of it. I can't even freaking get on the website now. I was on the website like a minute or two ago. Now I can't get on there. And unfortunately, I can't really pause this because there's no pause button for this. See, here we go. Sorry. We're having technical difficulties and are looking to the problem. Try again or go back to Walmart.com. Okay, let's do that. Alright. Let's do it manually. PS5 and video games. Alright, here we go. Let's press on it. Okay. Takes all fucking day. It just takes its fucking time. It just takes all fucking day. And one thing I also noticed is that this camera, and this is like a newer phone, I just got this phone like a few weeks ago. This camera, the app, doesn't have a pause button. I was gonna pause this to like wait until this thing load on. See, here we go. Here we go again. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties and I'm looking into the problem now. Try again or go into Walmart.com. See, this thing is bugged as fuck. How do they expect anybody trying to get a PS5 online to be successful when you have your internet, your website keeps fucking crashing every time I try to log in, every time I try to click on the PS5 and place an order? How the fuck do they expect anybody to now here we go. Error page. Could not connect the server. This thing is fucked.
Welcome everyone to another installment of the 30 Days of Taker video series. That's right, 30 videos in 30 days, celebrating the highlights in the career of Mark Calloway, who we all know more affectionately as The Undertaker. Today, it's a retro review. We're going back and reviewing fully loaded 1999. Wow. It's interesting to take these journeys back in time over 2 decades ago, and just the single biggest thing, there were two really striking things going back and watching this show. Number one, the star power. Like, even the mid-card acts were incredibly over. The crowd was really hot, like, just phenomenal. Everybody seemed to have something to do. Everybody had a shtick or a gimmick. Like, when we talk about these glory years of WWF, glory years of professional wrestling, you go back to shows like these are just, shows that bide you time until you get to SummerSlam the next month. And these shows were kick-ass. And the presentation, my God, when you look at how gritty and tough the presentation was by comparison, how in your face it was, the Crash TV elements and how they worked, the overbooking and even how that worked. It's just truly remarkable going back and watching an old show like this and then coming back to reality of what we get now wrestling. Thank you to the Twitter user that suggested I review Fully Loaded 1999. Let's see what they did. I know why you suggested it now. Jerk. I'm not going to do it. Nope. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. I'm depriving you of it. I don't know. Every time I take this trip back in time to the Attitude Era, that I might encounter this. But the show's got to kick off with it. If you suggest one of these Attitude Era shows, because I know where you're going with it. I see right through you. Moving on, though. You had a total of 5 championship matches on this show. The second one was a 3-on-2 Acolytes Rule WWF Tag Team Championship match. Man, was this a trip down memory lane, huh? The Acolytes taking on the Hardy Boys and their manager, that's right, Michael PSA. It wasn't Doc Hendricks anymore. I wonder how many people even remember this era of the Hardy Boys when Michael PSA was their manager. Hey, look, this match was cool. It wasn't great, it wasn't special or anything, but the Hardys got in their stuff. The Acolytes got in their stuff. They told a little bit of a story. And Michael PSA ultimately did his job, which was go in there and eat the pinfall, and the Acolytes win. No complaints with it at all. This is one of the lower quality matches on the show, and it was still decent. Yes, it was mostly an undercard title, and da-da-da-da-da. Had a lot of belts back then. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of miss the European Championship. Because, man, there used to be some really good European champions and some really good storylines here. Now, I don't know if D'Lo Brown and Mideon necessarily constitutes a good storyline, but going back and watching this show 21 years later, there's a couple of things that I came away with. Number one, D'Lo Brown's Tope Suicida was badass looking. Like a lot of people in today's wrestling don't want to overuse that move, so go back and watch him and see how the hell it looks and how the hell it should be done. Number two, his lowdown, that 5-star frog splash, if you want to call it, his frog splash, whatever the hell you want to call it, looks sick. And again, a lot of people wrestling today should take a look when they want to use this damn move to see how it should be done. Number three, most importantly of all, D'Lo Brown wins, and it just made me realize, you know, how cool D'Lo Brown really was back in the day. I used to call him Mr. Shotgun Saturday Night. You're looking at the real deal now. Got a little soft spot in my heart for D'Lo Brown. I don't know about you guys, but damn, it was good to go back and watch him in his peak. Hardcore championship match between Big Boss Man and freaking Al Snow was just high comedy to me. Like, good God, Al Snow, this was when he was at the peak of, what is everybody wants? Head! What does everybody need? Head! And then talking to himself, and he's the Job Squad, pay me, and Boss Man kind of being that more militant police type figure. Like, these two had pretty good chemistry in these hardcore matches. It's not the only one they had. I remember, wasn't it the next month at SummerSlam that they did a similar type of deal? You know, this one was cool. Like, I appreciate how both guys kind of were their own unique characters. They did some fun stuff. I always wondered what would have happened if Big Boss Man actually would have been able to do this shit with the golf cart, but the golf cart wouldn't start. But cool enough. It was something different. Big Boss Man won. Hooray! Next up came a standard match. It was Big Show versus Kane. The special guest referee of all damn people was freaking Big Shot Bob Howard. Good Lord. What in the blue devil's going on here? Anyway, this is a trip down Nostalgia Boulevard. You know, the spot at the very beginning of the match, Big Show picks up Kane over his head, gorilla presses him and throws him out. Like, Kane barely got a piece of the rope, which was designed to slow him down a little bit. And that bump looked sick. Like, that looked like it really hurt. If you're going to do stuff like that, make it look real. God damn, that looked real. And you also go back and watch a match like this, and you forget just how athletic these guys were earlier in their career. Like, for big men, in the case of the Big Show, giants, you know, just how well they could Undertaker, really getting involved, which led you to think that, maybe Austin was going to come out, because I really liked the way they did this in the whole build-up to the main event. Like, you knew what the main event was. It's The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. First blood, end of an era match. Austin loses. He can never wrestle for the WWF title again. If Taker loses, Vince was never going to be on WWF television again. But the way they did it at the beginning of the night, like I think it was even on Sunday Night Heat when they had Taker attack Austin and bust him open. You're doing a first blood match, so that makes a lot of sense. And then Austin kind of going down this mission throughout the night and eventually getting to Taker backstage and beating the brakes off of him, but waiting, not coming out when Taker's out there interfering post-match, but coming out and doing something, behind the curtain, like a really, really good build-up, the type of presentation I'm talking about that we just don't get in today's WWE, and I really, really miss it. Iron Circle match. Yeah, that's right. It was called Iron Circle match. It basically went outside, you had a bunch of cars lined up in a circle, a bunch of random wrestlers standing outside there. Like, I think it was Sergeant Slaughter and a bunch of other people. Midian was out there, like, it was crazy. It's Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock, and a couple of things really stood out to me with watching this. Number one, it was really weird to go back and watch this and see Droz was still standing up and walking around. Call me morbid, but that feels kind of weird. Yeah, that's how long back we go with this. Number two, I've always felt like they missed the boat with Ken Shamrock a little bit. You could have somehow, some way, figured out at some point in time an excuse to put the WWF title on. And even as an Intercontinental Champion, I think he gets slept on a lot. Like, the thing about Ken Shamrock, maybe he wasn't everybody's flavor, but he was a legit badass that nobody would ever question. And he was good enough with his character where everybody believed that he was truly freaking crazy. Like, he was the craziest man in wrestling to a degree, and you felt it, you thought it. And you didn't know what the hell he was going to do. So a match like this, a fight like this with Steve Blackman was perfect. I didn't like the way they did this. Like, having him to the point where Steve Blackman's knocked out and Ken Shamrock wins, but then he's kind of walking around like anybody else going to want some of this and nobody does. Like, man, going back and watching this, it's just a reminder of, like, how cool Ken Shamrock used to be. And they did some good things with him in WWF, but I can't help but feel like they could have done a little bit more, am I right? Mr. Ass and China versus Road Dogg and X-Pac. Winning team gets to use the name to Degeneration X. Now, there is a stipulation. Like, almost every match here had a stipulation on this card of some kind, which, again, kind of speaks to the peak of the Attitude Era, both good and bad. But here's one, and this one means something. I still, to this day, going back and watching it, I could have done without seeing Mr. Ass in that ring here. Oh my God. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, wasn't it the next month they had him and The Rock wrestle at SummerSlam? No wonder Rock is what a freaking But going back and watching China, man. Damn. I know a lot of people say a lot of things, especially people in wrestling over the years about China, but China was a star. She was a big star. As you know, you got all these women doing like the intergender wrestling now, and I largely am not down with it. And then you get the, well, China did it. China was fucking China. China was legit. China was believable. China was a big-time freaking star, and anybody that ever wants to diminish her can kiss my pasty ass. You want to do some of that stuff on the independent scene? Cool. That's your business. If you want to do it in a situation where you got somebody that's even someone similar like China, again, we can talk. That's your business. But man, going back and watching her, crazy. And it's just crazy to think about how over these folks were. Like Mr. Ass in China, over big. Freaking X-Pac and Road Dogg over big. Like, the crowd was really invested in this match. And when X-Pac and Road Dogg won and they get to retain the rights to the name, like, the place went bananas. And this was just a match over the rights to a name in the future. Like, that's crazy. That's this type of match here if you were showing somebody what wrestling used to be like and why it used to be so cool, this is the type of match that you show. Unloaded number one contender scrap match, Triple H versus The Rock. Yet another of the classic matches that these two guys had over the years. Like going back and watching this match, man, you remember just how great these two guys were in the ring together, how great the chemistry was, how great the timing was, and then of course you got China out there and eventually bring out Billy Gunn as well. Like it's just crazy. Go back and watch this, and this did about the best they could with a scrap match. Even the outside interference and the overbooking elements were really well done. And it was these two guys had some really good matches on the come up to where they were establishing themselves in those true top spot holes. And this again, similar to SummerSlam '98 and so forth, is just another one of them in their lengthy catalog. Great stuff here. Triple H won, and of course, he became the number one contender where he would later go on to not win at SummerSlam with all the shenanigans that happened there. If I remember correctly, wasn't China a number one contender at one point in time, but then it was Mankind. So that way, Austin didn't want a job to Triple H. Hunter learned some real godlike politics from Austin. Austin said, I'm not dropping it to him at SummerSlam, I'll drop it to Mankind. You could drop it to Triple H afterward, and that's exactly what they did the next night on Raw in Minnesota. They sit there and had Mankind drop it to Triple H. It's crazy, though. Going back and watching this match, man, this is really, really good. If you haven't seen this match in a long time, if you've never seen it, go watch this fully loaded scrap match between Triple H and The Rock. It was really good. Without them having to bleed out and bust out all over the place, which I think is a real skill. And especially noteworthy because the main event that was coming up afterward was a first blood match. So you don't want to sit there and do a bunch of blood crap. Finally get to the main event. The first blood end of an era WWF Championship match. The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And you're going to get a special treat because coming out to do commentary is Mr. I Broke My Coccyx, Vince McMahon. Mr. McMahon on commentary. And it wasn't just Vince McMahon on commentary. It was really Mr. McMahon on commentary. And when you think about a few years before, you would have had Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, and Jim Ross on commentary. And it was okay, but they were really being hindered by Vince. They were really being held back by Vince's presence in life. But man, when you go back and watch this now in 1999, JR's at his absolute peak. Just phenomenal. Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold! And Jerry the King Lawler, just the perfect Heenan style apologizer for all the heels and so incredibly quick-witted. Just fantastic. Even though chemistry between the two is so clear and so obvious. Like at one point in time, well, I can't remember if it was during this match or it was an earlier match of the night, JR said something to the effect of, I wouldn't think you want to talk about litigation with the year you've had, King. Like the way these two guys played off of each other, they were both in their peaks and their prime, just fantastic. And now you throw Vince in there, he's being a cheerleader for The Undertaker, just awesome. Like the match itself, wasn't going to go an incredible length of time. And as I've said before, some of the matches between Austin and Taker, I haven't always been the biggest fan of, but this was one of them that I thought was pretty good, actually. I actually really did. It's crazy when you go back and think about how over everything used to be, how wrestling used to be, and how hot the WWF was in 1999. Not only was Shane running and getting a big reaction, but X-Pac coming in and trying to make a save got a huge pop. And I mean a huge pop. Holy hell! Eventually, as you go through all of this, eventually it's Stone Cold that ends up busting The Undertaker open. Either way they did this played out so well. Like, it was clear to the camera and everybody else that Taker was already busted open, but Hebner was off in the corner recovering from the spot from a couple minutes ago. And then as Taker gets Austin up and turns around, then Earl Hebner kind of comes to and sees it and says, ring the bell, it's over, he's bleeding. Like, just genius. And even when you want to talk about, for some of you that might not like the overbooking or the dusty style finish of having everybody damn run in, but you got freaking Billy Gunn running in. Who the hell was it? I can't even remember. Yeah, X-Pac. Yeah, Billy Gunn. good. But this, admittedly, to me, was just a really good show to go back and watch. And I would highly recommend you go back and watch it again if you ever watched it in a long time, or if you've never watched it, you need to go check this show out. It's not going to be the 5-star masterpiece full of tremendous matches, but if you care about characters, and personalities, and stories, and moments, and kind of aha, oh shit things, like this is the type of show. This is peak Monday Night Wars wrestling. This is peak Attitude Era WWF at its finest. Except skip past the opening match, unless you want to sit there and pretend like Edge is wrestling thinning. A really, really good show. Glad I got a chance to go back and watch it and ultimately review it. So again, that brings an end to this 12th installment of the 30 Days of Taker video series. Ooh, about 40% of the way completed with this thing. We're gonna do it, baby! Thanks again for watching. Smash that subscribe button. Check out the other videos in this playlist. I hope you won't be disappointed with them. I'll see you later. Give me that.
Already getting some ideas.
Alright, get the...
Yo, donation stand robbery. Mark it for you.
God damn it. It's gonna have to wait.
This one was all you guys on.
Only you know what you need this holiday. And whatever it is, we can probably help.
Tonight, Jimmy welcomes James Spader from NBC's The Blacklist. New Balance.
Yes, okay. I lied to the police. I had met Mr. Aquino in a bar, and he and I did walk into the park together.
And didn't you also lie about what happened?
You know, sometimes when you draw a character in comic form, you have to make sure you're putting the shadows and the anatomies in the right places. Sometimes it's hard for me to do that, but at least I'm managing to get better at it. So,
videotape so you can share.
Okay, I'm good. Oh crap. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream. I forgot my phone died, so hope y'all enjoy the stream and